keep you aware of the concerns and events affecting our lives. Join us now as we take the pulse of the black community.
Good evening. I'm James Haney, your host for this week's edition of Black Pulse. With me this evening are two special guests, Ms. Betty Cunningham, who is the Executive Director of OIC, and Ms. Clevetta Evans, who is a job counselor, job developer of OIC, Opportunities Industrialization Center. Is that correct, Mrs.
That's
Cunningham?
correct.
Very good. OIC, Opportunities Industrialization Centers, a center that is where everybody can be somebody, a key that can unlock any door, and we help ourselves. I guess that might be the code word or the slogan for Opportunities Industrialization Center, Mrs. Cunningham. Perhaps you could start us off by giving our viewers some idea of the organization, its inception, a little of its history, and perhaps its purpose.
Thank you. OIC began in 1964 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, by Reverend Leon Howard Sullivan. And it grew out of the need of his church to do something about some of the problems that many of his members were having. And many of them were not high school graduates. They were dropping out of school. They were getting into criminal activities. So they came together as a group within the church to see what they could do about the problem. And after they had assessed the problem, they found that many of them needed basic education skills, job skills, and they started having classes in the basement of the church. And later, they were so successful, they became involved with industry. They got industry to give them equipment that they could use to teach the participants, and many of them sent volunteer instructors. And it became so successful until it kind of spread throughout the city, and many of the churches became involved. And then later they were able to get a building, and that's how OIC actually started. And it became so successful until it spread throughout the United States. And we had a group of Nashville citizens who were concerned that we had many of the same problems here. And there were so many people who were being left out of the traditional, or dropping out of the traditional educational system, and they needed something a little different. So they went to Philadelphia, they looked at the prototype, and then they came back, persons such as Reverend Kelly Miller Smith Sr., David Wilson, Dr. Noella Mitchell, and a lot of interested persons, Reverend Michael Graves, and Reverend Dobbins, who you know, is deceased at the present time. And they came back and did what they could to start a program here. And
This was in 1969.
Right, in 1969, and they were able to get a building donated. They had companies to give them equipment to furnish the building, provide instructors. So I think that's where the we help ourselves come from, that rather than depending upon a lot of other program funding sources, if necessary, it's just a matter of getting out, trying to get the community involved, and doing something about the problem.
Now, as an organization dealing primarily with careers for the underprivileged, Mrs. Evans, and as a job developer, job counselor for OIC, what is your job in this overall organizational framework?
Okay, well, my position is a dual position. I deal with a lot of the personal problems that they may have, the academic problems, things that may be going on within their family that I can assist and make referrals to. I also teach a job readiness class where we include the total person, dealing with the application, learning how to do cover letters, learning how to do a resume, and really getting ready for the interview, how to dress for the interview, what to say on the interview. And then, of course, the main thing that we place a lot of emphasis on is getting ready for that job and placing people on a job. And we do have assistance from the community, from our board, and we have a lot of referrals from a lot of the other agencies in the city, and we do assist in placement. Once our people come into our program, we do not guarantee placing them on a job. We provide them with the opportunity, and from there, we instill within them that there's a lot that you can do for yourself in getting a job with the leads and contacts that we have.
How many people do you have currently involved in this part of the operation?
You mean the current class that's going on now? There are 26 enrolled.
What are some of the general areas that you're preparing them for in terms of their career?
Well, it's a general clerical word processing course. And within the clerical class, they're learning typing. First of all, they must know that when they come into the program, that's the requirement, that they must type 20 words a minute. And of course, by the time they leave, we hope that they're at least typing 65 to 70 words a minute. And from there, we have the bookkeeping, word study, accounting, dictaphone, the dictation course, and of course the word processing comes on the end of the program.
Now, how long does it take to complete